Acidity, Season 1, Episode 5, written wholly by Brian Fredborn McGregor, 2019-2020. Season 1, Episode 5, Their Starring Roles. A deep, meaningful voice adds, Stevie at the flick of a switch knew the starring role her parents would play. So, it was a Friday, late in the evening by some people's standards, and both Stevie and her partner were sitting on a blanket enjoying a small meal, a candlelit meal at that, so to speak. It was said to Stevie by her partner to expect some fireworks in some respect that evening. Stevie, well, just smiled, albeit briefly, adding, whilst flicking her eyebrows upwards and pursing her lips, half expecting a marriage proposal with some exploding gunpowder within the great, dark, upper beyond. They were both talking about their past, just going over how they met themselves, and about their parents somewhat, in general, during a kind of life-on-life discussion. Stevie recalled out aloud, albeit quietly, how as a young girl in that ever since her mom and dad left to go on a space mission, she felt very empty, very much like that space itself that they went to, just never to return. Well, her partner adds before then saying, your mom and dad did what they loved. Space is full of wonder, Stevie, and some of these wonders don't get seen too often as they can be quite far away, which is what mom and dad were working at. It can cost so much on occasion just to see them. Tonight, however, is free, and these stars are far away, but not too far, not as yet. Stevie now continues herself, changing the subject by simply adding, well, as a kid. The picture now reverts rather briefly to a dreamlike state with Stevie and all her friends, all as children in a school playground playing. As a youngster, she would gaze up at the starry sky, then tell her friends how famous her parents are. My mom and daddy are both stars, yes they are. The TV says so, I sawdied it. Whilst pointing up towards the sky. The picture now suddenly reverts back to that dark evening on that grassy bank. Stevie adds, whilst laughing, I did that near enough every time I had a play date and stay over, even when my parents were at home and the care providers were away. What Stevie didn't know was, many of these times, her mother and father watched and smiled to themselves, as she said this to her schoolhood friends, albeit peeking quietly through her slightly ajar bedroom door towards them. There is now a dreamy picture of many young children again, although this time, gazing out a large bay bedroom window to a pitch black sky, all saying wow and gasping or awing with their bright starstruck eyes, looking towards the upper, greater starry-lit heavens. As Stevie looks back, the last thing her parents said on the radio at the centre on that transmission was rather simple. You will see us both in 20 years, Stevie. Stevie herself was used to her parents being away for longish periods, and at her young age she thought, wow, that isn't too long. Remember that she was only 5 at the time and wasn't the very best at counting, amongst many things, being so small. There is a picture of a very young Stevie speaking very gently, adding, 2 and 0, that isn't much at all. 2 is little and 0 is nothing, she quips cheekily while shaking her doll very gently from side to side. The picture now changes over to the inside cabin of a space capsule, a little spacecraft of sorts, where her parents are sitting around, rather despondent, just simply looking around. Both her parents now push the thruster button. The small craft of a type with large beacon, yet massive engine, juts forward rather quickly, then grinds to an apparent stop. Both now look at one another, knowing that orbit is maintained. They both acknowledge they would never have got back, not alive anyway, not in time, which they both try to say using words and various mixed gestures. They both at this point slowly program their own consoles, then sit back gazing at each other rather all too knowingly. Then aged 15, she, Stevie, still gazed up into the great beyond, but only at a certain time of the year, that of her fathers and mothers' untimely disappearances in the great space of the universe. As she got older, she stopped doing this, whilst still realising the pain of losing her parents. Now she moves on in life with her grandparents, but is still thinking fondly of her life as once, and indeed where it may go or not now. She then further adds, every night when I was young, at home my mother and father both read parts of a story to myself. Then just before leaving the room I would say to them, my mum and dad are both stars, my TV says so. The camera now flicks back to Stevie's rather smitten lit face, where now she quips to her partner. They both, just smiled to me, whilst flipping that switch on and off almost in a sequence. She's now looking just a little teary-eyed with her bottom lip kinda trembling, almost pursed somewhat it could be said. Stevie and her partner are still sitting on that same grassy bank late in the ever-darkening evening. She asks, rather quickly, why she is here, and why this time of night, just now tonight, on a large plastic crank, so late. What is the occasion? Her partner, well, he just smiles, rather sadly before adding, we are here to see the stars. Stevie laughs loudly, adding, yeah, okay, yeah. Her partner now adds, this one, well, these ones, I guess, will appear once and only once ever, never to be seen again. She tightens her eyes at him, a little confused while screwing up her mouth somewhat. There are two people sitting at either side of a rug with food and candles with drink, both of whom are seeming now rather enthusiastic about this evening's show. The camera now tilts upwards slowly to the ever-darkening sky, which has only a few lit clouds within it that are moving across quite gently. Well, Stevie, she's aged 25 now and still recalls many things when she was much younger, so whilst looking up at that darkness of the night, she says to her now partner, when at home Dad always left a light on for me. Although she does go over what's been said already to her partner, he just smiles. Stevie adds, he used to flick it on and off quite quickly, just for fun. It was like in a sequence, a pattern, There's now what appears 2 star sailors, so to speak, slumped over control panels and a small craft with a massive engine. Although 20 years have now passed, Stevie's partner now points up the pitch darkness of the sky, then says, tell me what you see now. Stevie looks at him, rather bemused to say the least, then looks back up to the sky, expecting something. There is then suddenly a succession of massive flashes from the engine of that spacecraft, where her parents rest for forevermore. The area in space surrounding that craft is lit very brightly up, even with it being far away from the Earth. The massive flashes of the burned fuel spell in an almost unused, although traditional code, quite simply creating the words, we are all stars. Stevie gasps whilst now holding her hand on her forehead. It's the same sequence as my bedroom light. Stevie, a government employee working as an interpreter and translator by profession, fully catches on, and it wholly dawns upon her. She quickly quips, whilst jumping to her feet, almost choking, then rather loudly laughing. Yes, we are all. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So as she says this, she claps her hands together and jumps up and down rather vigorously now, even more, laughing with an odd high-pitched scream mixed in just for good measure. Stevie and her partner now both look at each other, calmly, yes, very calmly, now. Her partner now looks back at her, rather pensively, knowing with quite the cheekiest grin ever imaginable, whilst picking randomly at grass by his side. The inside of that spacecraft now, after the last burst, suddenly goes pitch black, and the craft itself sinks into the dark bleakness of space, fading far, far out of sight. The spacecraft, speaking a rather bright, blinking red light, goes out now, quite abruptly to say the least, just as the screen fades to pitch black. A rather deep, meaningful voice now adds, and this light was switched on for one everlasting memory which won't be dimmed. We all come from stars. The end.